Hello again, my name is John. I am a Druid in the Reformed Druids of North America. This video is the Pagan Challenge for week 12 on what does this time of year mean to you, referring to the Vernal Equinox. Well, first of all, I have a little disclaimer to go through. Even though I'm a Reformed Druid, I do not represent all Reformed Druids, nor do I represent all Druids. My opinions are my own. Though anyone is welcome to share with my opinions or disagree with my opinions. So we are a couple days past the spring or vernal equinox, and I had mentioned before that as a druid, and in general, even before I considered myself a druid, the cycles of the year were important to me. I remember seeing calendars growing up that it marks out, well, not only the phases of the moon, but like the summer solstice and the winter solstice and the equinoxes. And I thought, these are on our calendar just like any other holiday. So how come we don't do anything on them? And so that's why it's like early on I wanted to always do something, especially on the solstices. And so the equinoxes would always kind of come and go, and like a week later I'd be like, oh, it was the equinox and I totally missed it. And so, which is interesting because I also mentioned before that in the history of the Reformed Druids, early on, they didn't find much. I don't think they found any information that pointed to the celebration or observance of the equinoxes when they were looking up books in the library on the ancient Druids. Then again, there's not a whole lot that they knew in 1963 on the ancient Druids. I mean, compared to now, yes, we have some more information, but still not a whole lot more than a few historical references, and then we have to rely on archaeology. But as far as bringing it back to what this time of year means to me, I have been trying to observe the equinoxes more and more the last few years, especially since nowadays contemporary Reformed Druids do tend to observe the equinoxes. So even though there's no reference to them in our early literature, so the other thing that's interesting about this time of year is that it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You could be here in Minnesota, you could be in Nome, Alaska, Key West, what is it? Tierra del Fuego, southern Chile, and sunrise and sunset will pretty much be due east and due west, respectively. So this is the time of year that you could notice that if you're driving in the morning towards sunrise on an east-west road, you're being blinded by that rising sun, and it looks like it's setting or rising or setting in the evening in that line of sight. But if you wanted to verify like that wherever you are, that the sunrise and the sunset on the day of the equinox, which I believe was it the 19th this year, leave it to me. I didn't actually check the calendar as to which day it exactly was. So there's my continuing my own accidental tradition of not observing the equinoxes on the equinoxes. But you can go to suncalc.net and you can like drag and drop the little pin to where you are. You can use it for any date of the year, but the default is, I think it's your locate. No, I think the default is somewhere in England. But you can drag and drop or type in your own location and customize the date. The date is the actual time locally where you are. And so you can see, like, it points to where the sunrise and sunset will be. And so, which is great if you want to plan, like, a stone circle or something, or some sort of celestial observatory. But yeah, and then the other thing is, like, this time of year, as a Reformed Druid, it means it's time to start planning for Beltane. Beltane for Druids is a big celebration where we can start drinking consecrated whiskey during the year. And because during the winter half of the year, which is the time between the beginning of Samhain and goes to Beltane. So Beltane is like when we switch over to consecrated whiskey. And so, which is fun. I mean, the point is, it's not the point to get drunk as a Reformed Druid. But on Beltane, it is written into our customs that is when we have, it's usually diluted whiskey, but that's when it's usually diluted the least, and sometimes not at all. And so this means that I have like 46 days or whatever it is to start planning for Beltane. Signs of spring are all around, but in Minnesota it's really hit or miss because this time of year we tend to get like late winter snowstorms. I know that in 2 days we're supposed to get an inch of snow, and then over the weekend we had at least an inch, maybe 2 inches of snow. And it's not uncommon to get a huge end of winter blizzard as Mother Nature's way of saying, I'm not done with you yet. So, and of course, I mean, that could happen as late as May, because that's what did happen in 2013. It was like the 1st of May, 1st and 2nd of May, like Owatonna, Minnesota got 17 inches of snow. And I was camping in Northfield in 5 inches of snow, while the Twin Cities had nothing. So that is how wild this time of year can be. And maybe that's why it kind of goes by unobserved, because we take this whole month with a grain of salt sometimes. We don't know what to believe. But that is what this time of year means to me. And so in lieu of rambling, I will end it here. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.